I'm serious.
Mr. Chairman, you are now live.
Thank you. Good evening, everyone. I'd like to welcome you to the September 9th meeting of Gig Harbor Fire Medic 1, Pierce County District 5. If you'd please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Approval of the agenda.
So moved.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Roll call vote.
Commissioner Nelson,
Yes.
Commissioner Urvina,
Yes.
Commissioner Sudich,
Yes.
Chairman Enzi.
Yes. Any commissioners' absence coming up that we know of? Nobody. Okay. Approval of minutes from the August 26, 2025 Commissioners meeting. Move.
Second.
Motion and a second. Roll call vote, please.
Commissioner Nelson,
Yes.
Commissioner Urvina,
Yes.
Commissioner Sudich,
Yes.
Chairman Enzi.
Yes. Accounts payable.
I'll move that we approve accounts payable checks 2216 through 2268. Payroll checks 2215, 2269 through 2280. ACH payroll transfers is outlined in the agenda for a grand total of $1,711,252.16.
I'll second that.
Got a motion and a second. Roll call vote, please.
Commissioner Nelson,
Yes.
Commissioner Urvina,
Yes.
Commissioner Sudich,
Yes.
Chairman Enzi.
Yes. I had a text from President Jake. There is nothing from the local this evening. Chief's reports.
Chief Booth.
Good evening. I just want to invite all the commissioners to the 9/11 ceremony that we'll be doing this coming Thursday morning, 9 a.m. on 9/11, to recognize that fateful day. So hopefully we'll see many of you there. Thank you.
Chief Langlow.
Good evening. A couple brief updates just on some of our folks we've had deployed to wildfires across the Pacific Northwest. We have 3 of our members still out on deployment right now. Dana Parolo and Mike Metters have returned. Mike's returning today from a fire in Montana. Scott Jorgensen, Lieutenant Jorgensen, is at a fire in Oregon. And then Lieutenant Bassinas is at a fire in Eastern Washington, north of Colville. And now I'm forgetting the last one. BC Stark, thank you, is at the Wildcat Fire just outside of Natchez. So Paul and Josh and Scott are between a week and 10 days left in their deployment, and then they'll be back. Second thing wanted to update the board on is that the 7 new laterals that we hired started Monday. And so briefly met them Monday morning, and then Chief Doan and I'll be with them on Thursday afternoon, but they've all started, and they're all very excited to be here, and we're very excited to have them. So they've been working downstairs. They work right now a 2-week 4-10 schedule, Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, and Friday. And then after their 2-week onboarding, they'll go out to shift. So a pretty quick turnaround to get them out to shift and get them trained, and we'll get them up to staffing as soon as they're ready to go. We'll just kind of evaluating, each individual has their own work history and experience level. And so we'll get them to staffing as soon as they're ready to go. And then the third thing I wanted to report, DC Booth and I attended the Permission to Start Dreaming Foundation prayer breakfast on Friday. And awesome event, 15-year anniversary for their 12K Race for a Soldier that they had on Sunday. And they had almost 2,000 runners do the 12K and or the 5K. And so that's their biggest year yet. And they're doing some pretty awesome things locally for military veterans, active duty service members, and law enforcement firefighters. And so Scott and I were there on Friday, had a great time, and represented the fire department. That's all I had, Chief.
And finally, for me, a few months ago, I reported to you that we had a family living in Gig Harbor that wanted to donate a boat to the Gig Harbor Fire Department. I have since met with the family again, and good news, bad news, they still would like to do it, and have put it in their will that, that money will come to the Gig Harbor Fire Department. The bad news is a little bit of a delay. They said that they would, for some reason, would like to wait till they're 73 years old, and they are 69 right now, so that's 4 years. Afterwards, Chief Langlow put that in perspective, actually, because at first I was thinking, well, that's 4 more years. Then we have to do the spec it. Then we have to build it 2 more years. This is going to be 6 or 7 years out. But in talking to Chief Langlow and Oldenburg and Booth, we are going to contact them again, find out when that date is, and then work backwards, because it is a 2-year build time and a 6-year, or at least a 6-month spec right. So maybe if we just wait a yearish and start the spec writing, and then go ahead and order the boat, and it takes 2 years, the check and the order come in at the same time, if that makes sense. So I'm going to reach out to the family again, make sure that we're not going to start building a boat unless this is assured, right? So I'm going to reach out to them and see if we can work that out to time the donation with the arrival of the boat. Does that make sense? So it's still there. They're still very generous, still very grateful. But we're just going to work through that timing a little different than we had originally planned. I am on a subcommittee of the Pierce County Fire Chiefs call processing time. So if you remember a few years ago, we were trying to get South Sound 911 to do a little bit better job on call answering and call processing. First defining it, then reporting it. I encouraged South Sound 911 and did get it budgeted for a new FTE to do data analyst, and that person is on board. So Chief Morrow, myself, and why can't I think of East Pierce? John Parkinson are meeting with South Sound 911 to come together with defining call answering, defining call processing, and then how we report that. So that's finally moving forward after 2.5 years of working on it. And that meeting's coming up next week. Last week I spent Thursday evening and all day Friday in the police chief interviews for Gig Harbor PD. There was 4 candidates. There was a public open house that I went to, and then I was part of the interview panel with the council last Friday. So we interviewed 4 people. We gave our suggestions to the mayor, and the mayor is going to make that decision. She has not made a definite date, but she said in the next week or 2. But I'm encouraged that all 4 were great candidates. There was 1 internal and 1 from Washington State Patrol, 1 from Paulsbo, and 1 from Stillicum. So all great candidates, and I appreciated being part of that. Also with Station 57 being open, I have asked WSRB to re-rate the peninsula there in Crescent Valley, and they did. And I've asked them for a map, but I think it'll be a 5, so that will help all of them, all the people living in Crescent Valley, to drop from a 9 to a 5. So that's good news. With our lateral hiring, my wife and I usually invite any new hires over to our house for a social. This is a big group, and it would kind of fill our house. So we, my wife and I, are renting Zogs, and she and I are. There's no district money being paid, being used. It's my wife and I. So we're going to have all of our laterals to Zogs and their families, and welcome to our department next week on the 16th. Tomorrow morning, I'm speaking at Kiwanis in the morning, giving them an update about the bond and where we're headed and what we're doing. And the rest I will give in the bond update.
Thank you, Chief. Standing committee reports, we have negotiations tomorrow at 9:30. For the next round of the meeting is tomorrow at 9:30 with the local. Anybody else? Anything? Okay. Financial report, Crystal.
Good evening. In tonight's packet, on page 11 of the agenda is the July financial report. Most of the information is very similar to June. The highlights I'll mention were 56% collected in operating revenues for the general fund. This is typical and expected for this time of year. Most of our property collection comes in October. Operating expenses, we were 49% spent. This is also, am I not loud enough? I'm sorry. Here, I'll go here. We are also 49% spent for operating expenses. Also expected, anticipated for this month. Most of the items of being underspent are required transfers that haven't occurred yet that will happen in the next quarter or two. Moving into the capital fund, we had a pretty light expenditure month for the capital fund, $1.2 million. I anticipate that will greatly increase as we produce the August, September, and October reports. We're 29% spent for the capital fund. And then ending cash, we are at $69.2 million for the end of July. This is typical and expected since most of our revenue collections occur later in the year. Does anyone have any questions regarding the July report? Great, thank you.
Thank you. Nothing from my chair. 2022 bond update.
All right. I think I sent an email out to you. We have all the permits in hand for Station 51 as of last Thursday. I know. I saw the mayor Thursday and Friday, and she said she's glad to be done with me. In a nice way. We have remained friends through it all, but she is tired of me calling her. I said, all you got to do is give the permits and I'll leave you alone. And we got them last Thursday. So the bids are open. It closes, I remember in September 23rd, 24th, right in there. We'll open the bids. I think it's at 2:00. We will need to call a special meeting the next week. So I'll work with you and the chairman to award the bid to whoever's the lowest bidder. But we have got permits, got the bids out. We're going to be opening bids and we're moving forward. In fact, we have moved out of 5-1. Chief, you want to give a quick update of where we're at on the moves?
Sure. Yeah, so we're in the process this week of moving. We're moving 9 pieces of apparatus all together with our support apparatus. Today was the first piece of operational apparatus that moved. Engine 56 is now engine 57. So Station 57 is open and operating. I talked to DC Peterson this afternoon and the crew is there. They'll be sleeping there tonight. And then tomorrow morning, Medic 51 will be shutting down, and then we'll get them to Station 52 to operate out of Medic 52. And then on Thursday, Battalion 51 will be going to 56, and then Engine 51 will be shutting down, and then we'll get the crew out to Station 53. So the goal is by Thursday afternoon, that dust was settled with apparatus moves, and then Friday's kind of a cleanup day for logistics to make sure that power drops are hung in the right spots, and we kind of can pick up the stuff we forgot, because we've all moved before, and so inevitably there's things that get left and you got to move. That's where we're at.
Kind of in a way a sad thing. I mean, that station has been there for a long time. I've had many enjoyable evenings in that place, having coffee while I was on patrol with the 4 or 5 firefighters that were in existence in, and the Sheriff's Department, D13, had their office out of there, and so it was a meeting place for everybody. So yeah, a lot of good memories at that station. So, but hey, brand new one coming in, so start some new memories. So Anyway, that's great to hear.
Yeah, I'm a little worried, the team has done such a good job of making sure to plan this out, right? My biggest fear was doing this and making the move and then having some type of delay and the station just sitting there. It will sit for a little bit, but we're going to award the bid, and we don't know how quick the contractor, is going to want to get in there, but we didn't want to delay the contractor either. So I think we're on the right track, and everybody's been doing a lot of plans, and here we go. If you want one last tour of 51 before they tear it down, I suggest going tonight. That's all for the bond. Yep.
Okay, thank you. Nothing under old business, new business, mutual aid report. Chief Lingle?
All right, I'm gonna share my screen here. I did test it before we started just to make sure. All right, so we're gonna, I'll give it a second to, there we go. Again, mutual aid report. So first off, thank you for your patience as we worked through getting this out. Like Chief Doan had identified, South Sound 911 has a new data analyst. First, not new, it's the first one they've had on the fire side. And so worked with Drake is his first name, to help me kind of pull this report together. And we kind of went back and forth a little bit to try and get it into a format that we felt confident about. And so this is what we produced, and him and I are going to meet towards the end of the month to just kind of follow up to make sure that this is how we want the report to look moving forward, the data that he gave me. But this will give us a really, really good indication kind of where we're at mutual aid wise. And so what we produced was a mutual aid report for the time frame August 1 of 24 through August 28 of 25. I wanted to try and grab a big enough sample size and snapshot that we could get some statistically relevant trends for the board. And so had him pull essentially 13 months worth of data to make that happen. And then the plan right now is that Drake and I have put together is that they'll produce this report or something very close to it. And then annually. So we'll get it in January, and I'll be able to kind of give the board a recap for, year over year. And even if the board gets to a spot where maybe you don't necessarily want it in a meeting, it'll be something that we'll have that's able to be produced and distributed. So this is version 1. And again, this will just kind of be at a high level. I've got, tables of thousands of data points, right? That kind of and I'm kind of bringing it together into this for this meeting. But if you have follow-up questions, I can try to answer them, and we can certainly get you the whole raw data, although it's a lot. So just a couple quick definitions, just as probably a reminder to most, but this is a report on mutual aid given and mutual aid received. So mutual aid given are times when Gig Harbor Fire Medic 1 provides mutual aid out to another agency, and then received is when we bring an agency in here to help us. Mutual aid given versus mutual aid received. This is all agencies, not specific to one agency. So total mutual aid given in that time frame, we responded to 383 alarms, and then received. We had units from other agencies respond to 182 alarms. Proportion of the mutual aid that we gave to other agencies, 62.7% of that was to Key Peninsula, Fire District 16. FOJ is fire agencies outside of Pierce County. So mostly is going to be Kitsap County, but it could be Mason County. It could be King County if we sent a brush truck on a strike team deployment. But it's any agency that's a fire agency outside of Pierce County. West Pierce 9.1, and then all others combined was a total of 3.1%. So the other agencies that are in there, a couple of those are Central Pierce, Tacoma, Browns Point, Anderson Island. Usually that's like a water rescue dispatch. So that makes up 100% of our mutual aid. So 62.7 to Key Peninsula, and 25.1 largely is going to be South Kitsap. How often did we make it to the scene? So I think this is an important kind of point to talk about, is that just because we were dispatched or we responded doesn't necessarily mean that we weren't canceled en route. And some of those canceled and route calls can happen really quick, right? So engine 56, for example, might get dispatched to Key Peninsula for any type of alarm because that's how the run card is structured, right? South Sound receives their 911 call and they just pull through the run card and send engine 56 or medic 58. And then either a Key Peninsula medic unit might clear St. Anthony's or might clear training that they were out of service for some reason. They're able to clear, or Battalion 47 says, hey, I'll handle it. The engine can cancel. So some of these cancels happen really fast. And then some of them happen any point between call creation and when they go in service. And so what this slide is depicting is that the total percent of occurrences that a responding unit actually made it to the scene. Mutual aid given is 36.2 and mutual aid received is 32.1. So what that's essentially saying is 36.2% of our unit responses, not the total alarms, but 36.2% of our unit responses actually resulted in a valid on scene time on their MDT or on the radio. Another way to look at it is for every 100 unit responses, 36% have a valid scene time for the mutual aid given. And I already kind of covered this, but a unit response doesn't always mean it was, I didn't cover this part. A unit response doesn't always mean it was dispatched by South Sound 911. I'm going to kind of, I might mention this a couple times in the report. There are times, I'll give you an example where Key Peninsula or South Kitsap might request Medic 58 for a chest pain call. They just want a single medic unit. And what we've told our company officers and battalion chiefs is if the engine company feels like they want to go and provide assistance to give the medic unit, our medic unit, more accustomed to like what they're used to having in Gig Harbor, so they have the right amount of people to do the work that they're accustomed to doing, they have the latitude to go. So there might be a time where South Kitsap requested just the single medic unit. We send the engine 2, counts as 2 unit responses, but that's not necessarily on South Kitsap in that case, right? We've made the decision that we're going to send another unit. That can also happen on any alarm, any major structure fire where maybe they wanted a single engine, but our engine company that was going said, hey, the home jurisdiction is committed to calls and I might be by myself for a while. So I'm going to request Battalion 51 and Medic 58 and Engine 58 to come with me. Well, that's kind of our decision to go out and do those things. And so I just wanted to make sure to reference that, is that it doesn't always mean that it was dispatched that way. The slide's kind of busy and a little bit small, but I just wanted to kind of give you a little bit of an indication on this is per unit. So this is responses by unit on mutual aid given. Engine 56 is clearly the outlier of our units, 239 unit responses in that essentially 13-month period. Engine 56 is going to be the primary unit, or has been the primary unit, to go to both South Kitsap and Key Peninsula. So that is, I'm not surprised by that number, right? They're the primary mutual aid unit. And then as far as the medic unit goes, Medic 58 again would be the primary unit to go to Key Peninsula or South Kitsap. So that's our highest medic unit. And again, these are unit responses too. That's why Battalion 51 has 30. And so, or Chief 503 has 3. I wasn't dispatched by South Sound to any of them. I would just happen to be available and wanted to go to support Battalion 51, or I was already out on a call on the Key Peninsula and they got another call. And so I went to that call. All right, this is more specific to just our relationship between District 5 and District 16. So total mutual aid given, 240 alarms given, times we were dispatched out to Key Peninsula, and then total mutual aid received is 90 when Key Peninsula came our direction. I wanted to give you a little snapshot of by call type. So a mutual aid given by call type, I gave the top 5 for each of those. So when we're going to District 16, the majority, the highest number of call types we go to are motor vehicle collisions, and then falls, structure fires. Call type 26 is just a generic sick person. Just don't have enough information to box it into a one call type, so it just gets sent out as a sick person. And then automatic fire alarms. And then on the received side, we're calling Key Peninsula for falls, the general sick person, breathing problems, unconscious, and then motor vehicle collisions. And these are actual responses, not necessarily dispatched, but because there's times where we get, like I said, we might get dispatched and we cancel before we ever hit en route, or we hit en route and Firecom says you can cancel. Some of the conclusions that I tried to draw from this is some of them are obvious. Others I just wanted to highlight as kind of in summary. So we responded to slightly more than twice as many alarms as we received in mutual aid in that 13-month time window, or almost 13-month time window. Like I said, units from Gig Harbor Fire that responded to mutual aid arrived on scene 36.2% of the time. The other way to look at that is 63.8% of the time we were canceled before we got there. And then units coming into our jurisdiction, 32.1% of the time they actually made it to the scene. I already covered this, but wanted to make sure we summarized in a conclusion that unit responses don't directly correlate to unit requests. That's a little bit of that. We might choose to send 3 or 4 units when they requested 1 because that's what we want to do to support our folks. Conclusions continued. The changes Gig Harbor Fire made in the fall of 24, those were largely led by Assistant Chief Todd Meyer, but those likely reduced mutual aid received on our end. So some of those things that we did, we reduced response packages across several of our call types. We did we started responding engine only to more call types than we had traditionally. We went to the balance the alarm concept, and just as a reminder for that, we had traditionally sent to a reported structure fire, we had sent 4 engines, 2 transport units, a battalion, and a battalion chief, plus some support apparatus. What we decided to do was we backed down those initial 911 requests to 3 engines, 1 transport unit, and 1 battalion chief. And so at any point in the response from when the company officer or the battalion chief hits en route, or when they get there, they can upgrade, and we call it balance the alarm, and that will get them there an additional resource. I'm happy to share. I don't have the like how many times we balanced the alarm, but I'm happy to share that we only had to balance the alarm on like a very seldom few of those calls that were actually either events that had rose to like we need the 4 engines and the 2 transport units, or we felt like it was a working event where we needed the more resources right away. So I think that shares 2 things. One, the balance the alarm concept for us is working, and 2, that our resources are doing really good work on the street, right? They're handling the call with 3 engines or 2 engines and a transport unit, which I think is super awesome. And then the last thing, pending some call types for only Gig Harbor, we have traditionally not done that in previous years, where if there wasn't a Gig Harbor resource available, we would dispatch the next closest unit. That could be mutual aid, and it could be for a very, very low acuity call, anything from it could be tree across the power lines with no hazard, right? But if there's no Gig Harbor engines available, they're going to grab an engine from Key Peninsula or South Kitsap or West Pierce. So what we did was we took some of those lower acuity calls and we pended them. And so if there's not a Gig Harbor unit available, what South Sound will do is they'll dispatch Battalion 51 with we call it an info page that just says, hey, we have a call in your district. There's no Gig Harbor unit available. Just letting you know. And the Battalion 51 can decide, oh, I'll go handle it, or let's dispatch a mutual aid resource. So it's not that the call goes unacknowledged. It certainly gets dispatched and right away. It just gets dispatched as an info page to Battalion 51. And then they can manage the call from there. And then the last conclusion I wanted to draw was that changes Key Peninsula made in July and August of this year should reduce mutual aid given. They are making some of the same changes that we made last fall. They just made them. So it's really difficult to draw much from the report because the sample size in that case is very, very small. They did go to reduce response packages on some of their major alarms. They are going to do the balance the alarm concept. They have chosen to go with 2 engines, 1 transport unit, and 2 tenders, I believe, and a battalion chief. So they're reducing that concept too, to try and reduce the need to contact mutual aid. And then they are also working on pending some call types for only the Key Peninsula unit, just like we are in Gig Harbor. So I'm looking forward to seeing the next iteration of this report, in January, or February, when we have a little bit more of kind of statistical relevance, not relevance, statistical, the bigger sample size to be able to draw from. And that's the report I put together. Happy to answer any questions, and then or meet you at any point. We can go over the nitty gritty details of the Excel spreadsheet or the CSV file for sure.
Unmute, Tom.
Un- Unmute, please.
Last time I was in Port Angeles, they have medic engines. Have you ever given any thought to that? If we had enough medics on staff?
Yes. So one of the things that I've asked Chief Langlow to do is just what is our level of service in every aspect? And one of those is EMS. So I know he and Chief Dumas are doing, looking at a long-term plan. Right now we have 5 BLS engines and 3 ALS ambulances. So what's the correct level of service for us? Is there BLS, another BLS unit, or paramedic engines? So that's one of the things that that Chief Dumas is evaluating ongoing. So the answer is yes.
Great report, Nick. One quick question. The balance the alarm concept, if the 911 center is getting flooded with calls saying that there's 20 people hanging out the windows of an apartment building, can they balance it themselves, or is it always the engine company officer or the chief that would call for that?
Yeah, that's a good question. And I think what I would probably, without having South Sound 911 in front of me, I think how I would answer that is that generally speaking, the dispatchers are going to stick to their algorithm and their process. However, that probably with a lot of different industries and areas, we have some very, very senior tenured dispatchers. And I would say that as far as Gig Harbor is concerned, they do have the latitude to do that. One of the challenges that South Sound has in dispatching for 18 fire agencies is that I, as the ops chief for Gig Harbor, can say, hey, if you think it sounds bad, just skip the 3-in-1 and just send the balance. But that's not necessarily maybe how an ops chief from another agency or fire chief from another agency feels. And so we're talking about it. The whole county is going to this, starting to entertain this balance the alarm. They're picking and choosing their level of balance, right? They may start higher or lower. But so I think that the technical answer is yes, they could. I don't think they're going to do that in most cases. I think they're going to look for some direction. Now, you will get some pretty tenured dispatchers who, maybe the resource is on the other thing too, I think that's important that will help kind of answer a little bit of that question is because we went to the pre-alert process, we are seeing a reduction in from call receipt to first unit on scene across the county. We're seeing a 40-second reduction in unit on scene time with the pre-alert process. So first unit on scene, not necessarily complete package, right? Because they still have to process the call. So we are getting units on the road much faster across the whole spectrum in the county. And so there are definitely some senior dispatchers and some of the supervisors end up being the ones that are the primary dispatchers for those major alarms anyway, is we'll get a unit on the road and they'll be pretty quick on giving secondary information like, hey, we got multiple reports and there's 20 people hanging out, that just letting you know, like almost prompting like, oh shoot, we should do this. So that's probably what happens.
I just want to thank you for the time you put into that report. I really hope that it allows us to really analyze it, like you said, down the road a little while, and really balance out where our apparatuses are so they stay in service more where they are needed.
Yep.
So I look forward to seeing not just the numbers, but then how are we going to be able to analyze the results from that.
Mhm.
So thank you for laying the groundwork for that future work.
For sure.
Yeah, thanks, Nick. Open public comment at this time. If you would like to address this board, I ask you to state your name for the record. You'll have 3 minutes. Okay. Okay. Anything under good of the order? Okay. Special interest upcoming events. I think what you heard that on September 11th here at 9 o'clock, we will be holding a 9/11 memorial, and it's out front by the piece of metal from the ground zero. So that's at 9 o'clock on the 11th, which will be Thursday, this coming Thursday. So you're all welcome to that. Anything else, Sanders? Okay.
Next week on Wednesday, we'll be doing the commissioner interviews at 2 o'clock.
That is an upcoming event. Okay. Thank you. Okay. At this time, we will be going into executive session pursuant to RCW 4230-144B to discuss collective bargaining negotiations. The executive session will last 60 minutes and the meeting will be called back to regular session at 6:36. No action or vote will be taken. If there have to be any extensions, we will announce those extensions. Are we staying here? Okay, so we'll be going to another room. And those that you need to be joined the board and whoever you need to be joining us, be welcome. No action will be taken or votes. So for everybody else, you're free to go, or you can stay around until we come back in. Anything else? Okay, at this time we'll stand adjourned.
this keyboard. And I think you basically have to pull the iPad off the keyboard and enter it on the screen, because when you enter it with the keyboard, it automatically goes, the first character is capitalized. So if I'm pressing shift because the first character in my password is capitalized, then it's actually lowercasing it.
Okay.
So
Strange.
And you know how you get around that? You gotta hit shift twice. That's how mine works.
Yeah.
Man of experience over here.
Oh, really?
You know. Yeah.
That freaking iPad's been driving me crazy.
You figured it out though.
At this time, I'd like to reconvene the Board of Commissioners. With, is there any further business to come before this board?